Welcome to the Academic Writing Amplified podcast. On this podcast, we believe that the culture of academia needs to change radically. Women and non-binary people are revolutionizing academia within institutions that were not built for us. If you're ready to reject the culture of overwork, kick guilt and overwhelm to the curb, and amplify your voice to make a real impact on your field without breaking down or burning out, you're in the right place. With our team of experienced writing coaches as co-hosts, we'll share insights and talk to inspiring guests to bring you the practical strategies, systems, and mindset shifts you need to find time to write, publish work you love, and design your career on your terms. And it all starts with writing. Let's go. Hello, podcast listeners. This is Cathy at Scholar's Voice. And today I'm talking about something that I said I would never do again, but that indeed I am doing again. So I'm going to try to make this like part history backstory, part announcement of this thing I'm going to do, and part kind of insight into decision making that I hope you can take as valuable and that you can use when you make decisions as well. So let me not beat around the bush. The thing I said I would never do again is run an in-person writing retreat. But dear listener, indeed, we are running an in-person writing retreat, August 4th through 9th in San Juan, Puerto Rico, in a neighborhood called Ocean Park at a beautiful little inn called the Dreamcatcher. I'm going to give you all the details, but first I want to say why I said I would never do it again and why I decided now is the time to do it again, even though I said never. In fact, you can go back and listen to a previous podcast episode that I did with my colleague, Michelle Boyd. And Michelle Boyd is the founder and creator of Inkwell Academic Retreats. And we had a great conversation. We'll be able to link up in the show notes that previous episode. But basically, my conversation with Michelle talked about this, how I'm like, don't really want to do that anymore. Too many things happen. And we talked in that as a great episode if you're interested in retreats, because it talks about kind of like that magic or that special thing that happens on an in-person retreat. And also in a way as well, in a virtual retreat, or any time that you carve space for your writing practice. So I highly recommend that previous episode. And in it, I think I said, don't really want to do this again. And at that time, which was over a year ago now, I really didn't. It's not because people didn't want me to. Like, we periodically get inquiries about whether we are going to do an in-person retreat or not. And I keep saying, no, never again. And the reason was because I have had to cancel 2 retreats now. I actually had to cancel my very first writing retreat because it was scheduled for the January after Hurricane Maria. And I thought we would be ready and we were not. And so I had collected all the deposits for that, all the payments, and then I had to return that money, which is really difficult if you're a small business owner. And then the same thing, so it was like 2000, whenever that was. So it was 2017, 18, around there somewhere. And then, of course, we had actually this same retreat planned for July 2020 at the Dreamcatcher. We started enrolling people in the retreat, I think in August of 2019, and we had sold it out. So we had sold all the rooms. There were no spaces left easily by December. So basically we announced it, we filled it. And then of course, COVID happened and we again had to return everybody's money. And it's really hard from a cash flow perspective on a small business to do that. So basically I had said, and plus it was emotionally hard too. And so I had said, like, I really don't want to do this again. It's too risky, blah, 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 blah. But as things have been opening up post COVID, my staff really and my coaches, especially Gina, was like, we need to do in person. People are craving in person. We need to get back in person. And I was like, no, I'm not ready. And then finally, I guess I just got comfortable enough. And also, I think I figured out like a better way to manage the money part of it in terms of like, there's a much shorter time period between when we are announcing now and when the retreat is going to be. So I see that as like fewer things. Oh my gosh, I'm going to knock on wood. Fewer things can go wrong maybe between now and the first week in August. We don't start hurricane season until later in August. So I feel pretty confident we won't have a major hurricane between now and then. And also, I wanted to kind of like entertain the part of me that I used to have a lot more of this kind of energy, like, let's just try it, right? I think when the business was new, and maybe this is something you've felt even like as you've moved on and developed more in your career and gotten more kind of entrenched in your career, let me just try this kind of energy. I had gone away, and with good reason, because when I first started the business, like in 2017, 18, and until probably we brought on coaches in summer of 2019, which was when Gina came on, I was doing it myself. So if I did something and it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, the only person who was going to suffer was me. And at that point, my business was a side hustle, right? So I had my university salary still, and it wasn't so scary, I think, to come up against a financial difficulty or take a risk. And then for the past years, really, like from 2020 until now, so 3 years, it's been much scarier and much riskier. And I have a bigger staff, and I didn't want to like try something and have the whole team do a lot of work to have it not pan out. So I think that was like a big part of what was holding me back from trying an in-person event. But I don't know how you all feel, but I am definitely feeling like I am ready to see people in person again, more than ready, and to share that magical thing that happens when we are physically together in a space where all of us have had to make some kind of sacrifice to get there, right? Like a financial sacrifice, a time sacrifice. We've had to like get a lot of ducks in the row with our homes and our families and with our jobs in order to carve out the time to do something like a retreat. And there's like a magic that happens when everybody comes to an event with that same kind of energy. Now, Gina and I talked a lot about what we wanted a writing retreat in August of 2023 to feel like. And we decided on the word spacious. So we're actually calling the retreat Spacious because we wanted that to be kind of like the guiding principle of this retreat. And let me say that I'm going to talk a lot about this retreat right now. And again, decision-making around it. But I want you to be able to transfer or like make the leap from what I'm talking about specifically to how you might be able to create a retreat experience if you can't join us August 4th through 9th. So I don't want you to think like, oh, I mean, you can think this, you can think whatever you want, but like, I don't want you to be like, oh, she's just going to like try to sell me the retreat. No, I'm actually going to break down like what I think is special about writing retreats and how to create an experience that you want. And you can do this for yourself, right? If you can't come on our retreat, you can find somebody else's retreat, or you can create a retreat experience for yourself. And especially if money is the obstacle, you can do this for very little money in terms of creating a retreat experience for yourself. So I just want you to feel free to take the things I'm saying and like translate them into like creatively think, how could I do that for myself if I can't come to the Spacious Retreat August 4th through 9th? For the rest of you who are considering it, I just want to also very much explain what it's going to be like. And I also want to keep coming back to why I decided to do this now when I said I would never do it again. All right. So we wanted the retreat to feel spacious. Gina and I talked a lot about how do we want people to feel? What is the venue of the retreat like? And how can we translate that a cohesive experience for people? Because we were actually deciding between a couple of venues. We landed on this one because it's really easy to get to from the San Juan airport and because they have their own kitchen and catering staff. So we thought, well, okay, for the first live event, for the first in-person writing retreat after a long hiatus from writing retreats, let's do it in a way that's easy for us and easy for the guests to be able to come. So if you are a really long-time listener of the podcast, and if you've been following me for a long time, you'll know that when I used to do writing retreats before this one, before the one we planned for July 2020, I was doing them in a town called Rincon, which is on the western side of Puerto Rico. We used a yoga retreat center for quite a few of them, and then this kind of beautiful Airbnb house. The groups were much smaller. I think it was hard to get there. So there's an airport relatively near there, half an hour away in Aguadilla, but it's an international airport because there's international flights. But it's one of these places that discount airlines fly to and everything lands at 2 a.m. So it was a lot of coordinating car pickups and stuff. It was clunky for people to get to this place. Now, once we were there, of course, Rincon is beautiful and it was a great experience, but the travel part was kind of a heavy lift. This time we're doing it in San Juan. So the airport code is SJU. So the airport is right there. It's very easy to get direct flights from almost anywhere on the East Coast and sometimes Chicago and Texas if you're coming from the States. So it's easier to get there. And then you can just take a quick cab. It's 10 minutes from the airport, take a cab or an Uber to the beautiful inn where we are staying. Now, the Dreamcatcher, first of all, it's called the Dreamcatcher, so it's dreamy. It feels kind of bohemian. It feels very tropical, there's an interior patio and lots of beautiful tropical gardens and running water and fountains and that kind of thing. This also has that beachy smell. It's literally a block from the beach. So you can't see the ocean from the hotel, but you just turn the corner and walk down the street and you are there. So it definitely has that beach town feeling to it. It has a lot of the rooms have their own private little patios and they have little outdoor showers, totally private, but outdoor showers. So it really has that beach feel to it. Every room has a hammock, either inside the room or in the little outside area. There's also hammocks in the interior patio. It's just a very relaxed vibe. And for this retreat, all the rooms are single rooms. So every room is really for one person. So there's one bed in it, one bed and a private bath for each person. So that means that what we imagine this retreat to be like is this kind of ebb and flow of people coming together and then dispersing and coming together and dispersing with a lot of autonomy, a lot of time by yourself, a lot of time to think and to read and to write and to rest. And then these moments, more lightly structured moments when we get together. So that's why we decided for spacious, right? The feeling of this retreat is going to be one of spaciousness, one of private time, alternating in kind of an ebb and flow with gathering time. And there's also a lot of autonomy on this retreat. So the first 2 days, there will be kind of a little bit more structure. We're going to do a welcome event and everything. But then once you get in the groove of being there, there's going to be less structure as the retreat goes on. And that way you get to choose, right? You get to create the kind of experience that you really want to have. So what does that mean? So for example, the night that you arrive at 8 o'clock p.m., we will have some snacks and drinks in the interior courtyard. Everybody will meet each other. We know most of the people, like right now, we've opened this up to our clients. So we already have spaces sold. So the people who are coming so far, I'm super excited about everybody who's coming. So we'll get to know each other that night. It's like a little welcome reception. Then every day after that, we will have breakfast and lunch together on that Saturday. So it's like the August 4th is a Friday. So then Saturday night, we will also have dinner together. But then after that, we're not going to have dinner together until the last night where we'll have kind of like a party. And so the reason for that is that in my previous experience with retreats, when we have had them catered, everybody has breakfast and lunch. And by the time we get to dinner, people are kind of tired of eating. You have all this spaciousness. You've had a delicious breakfast and a delicious lunch, and there's really like sometimes you're just stuffed. So rather than planning dinner, this Ocean Park is a place where you can walk to restaurants. So you can find a friend and go take a walk. Also, Uber Eats and that kind of like take in is available in this area of Puerto Rico. And so you can also order in and have dinner in your room by yourself. If you wanted like downtime, you could get together with some people from the retreat and order a pizza, like just very calm evenings after that. Plus, the Dreamcatcher is also a short taxi or Uber away from Old San Juan and Santurce and like these different places where there's more nightlife. So if you're interested in that, you absolutely can go out to eat somewhere in Old San Juan. Those are things we wanted there to be, again, spaciousness for you to decide like what you want to do in the evenings. And maybe you want to just hang out, or maybe you just want to stay in your room, right? But there's also this option, like you can get pretty easily to some very wonderful places to eat. And the Dreamcatcher has a lot of recommendations for local places. So every day, this is the rhythm. There's going to be breakfast. At breakfast, we will do an intention setting exercise for the day. So there'll be a short kind of gathering, intention setting exercise. I hesitate to call it goal setting because spaciousness, right? Where the guiding word is spacious. So we don't want to create this feeling of like, we're going and we have these goals that we're going to hit. That's not the vibe of the retreat. The vibe is spacious. So we are going to instead do intention setting. So breakfast with intention setting, and then go off and do the writing and whatever you're going to do. And then lunch also at the hotel. And right after lunch, we'll do an hour-long group coaching call every day. So that will be the rhythm. In the afternoon, likely I will want to walk on the beach around sunset time. So you can join me in that. And also we'll have some times where Gina and I are available for kind of casual one-on-one interactions. So again, we wanted spaciousness. So we're not saying like, book your hour-long one-on-one with Cathy or Gina for whatever time. No, we're going to tell you every day, like for these hours, I'm going to be sitting here. And if you want to come and get some one-on-one attention, ask questions, get advice, get coaching, you can do that in a casual and unhurried way, in a spacious way during the retreat as well. So breakfast and lunch every day are included. We have a welcome reception. We're going to have a go away kind of dinner. The Saturday night, that first dinner night, we will eat out together. We'll go to a local restaurant and eat out together. And everything else will be up to you. So it only leaves you with like 2 or 3 dinners that you have to figure out yourself. And I think, again, that's the right amount of spaciousness for what we're trying to create on this retreat. Again, group coaching every day, intention setting every day, moments for kind of casual one-on-one discussions with me and Gina every day as well. So if you were going to create something like a retreat for yourself, what would be your adjective? Like ours is spacious. What is yours going to be? What would you like to create? And then think about, where do you want to go? Now, some of us can't go anywhere. So like, how could we create the feeling of that adjective in a space that we can get to easily or for free, right? I have done writing retreats for myself where I get an Airbnb and I go. That's how I kickstarted my book project. I'm very thankful for my husband for taking care of the kids I think I went away for 4 nights nearby. So I didn't have the expense of travel. Like I didn't eat out. I just bought groceries and got an Airbnb. And every day I wrote. And that was how I kickstarted my book project. So what might you create? What would your adjective be if you were going to create a retreat for yourself? So back to the Spacious Retreat. We have 2 levels of participation. One is pampered and one is spacious. The pampered level has our suites. So the suites at the Dreamcatcher have more space. They have kind of a lot of outdoor private space. Some of them have bathtubs outside. Some of them have just different kind of lounge areas and they're bigger. So that's the pampered level. And also we're including a massage during your retreat time and a follow-up call with me or Gina for those who are going to do that pampered level. And we're calling that an integration call, the follow-up call. So sometime about a month after the retreat, we'll have a nice one-on-one check-in call with either me or Gina. So that's if you want to do the pampered level. And then if you're going to do the spacious level, it is the kind of regular sized room. And there's 7 pampered level spaces left. And I don't remember how many spacious levels left. 8 maybe? No, there's less than that. But anyway, so you can go ahead and find the link in the show notes to the description of the retreat, and you'll get all the information there. It's a Google Doc. So just click on the Google Doc, and there is also the link to save your spot on the retreat and a link to have a call with me if you need to chat about the retreat. Now, we are enrolling for the retreat, or you can save your spot up until June 3rd. And I'm just going to be very transparent. The reason for up until June 3rd is because on June 4th, we have to tell the Dreamcatcher exactly how many people are coming. And we would love to sell out the whole building. Right now, we have the whole inn reserved. And so that would mean we have space for 17 people. But if we don't sell all 17 spots by July 3, then we're just going to have the number of spots that we sell. And we'll have to share the Dreamcatcher with some other guests. But we have a plan for how to make our group coaching private and that kind of thing. So don't worry. But basically, if you're thinking about doing the retreat with us, August 4th through 9th, then we want you to go find the link to the Google Doc in the show notes. Also, if you're on our email list, then you'll have been getting emails about this. If you can't find the link in the show notes and you can't find our emails, go ahead and write to us at support@scholarsvoice.org, and we'll make sure that you get the information and you can reserve your spot. So in conclusion here, there's a lot of research about retreats, and there's actually quite a little body of research about academic writing retreats and how the experience of that academic writing retreat overflows into your writing practice for the rest of the year. The way that that works is that, again, as I mentioned earlier, those kind of sacrifices that you have to make in order to get yourself on that retreat, and then that delicious taste of spaciousness is going to be something that you really, really remember. So even when I did that solo writing retreat myself, I can remember so much about it, about what I ate, about how I spent the day. I can imagine very viscerally where I was writing. And that actually has happened to me on many retreat experiences. I have very vivid memories of retreats because you are getting out of your normal routine. You had to make things happen in order for you to get there. And then you have the glorious feeling of dedicating this time and space to your thinking and reading and writing. And that is something that you really remember. It flows over into your practice, your writing practice for the rest of the year. So I encourage you, if you've never been on a writing retreat before, or if you have and you're ready to experience the kind of retreat that I talked about in this podcast, then I encourage you to sign up for Spacious August 4th through 9th. All the pricing information and everything is in that Google Doc sheet, and also instructions on how to enroll, frequently asked questions, and everything. So I said I would never do this again. I was so scared, and I'm still a little bit scared, to be honest. I'm a little worried that we won't sell it out. But I don't know, I think enough of you out there listening are craving something like this. And I know I'm craving something like this, and Gina's craving something like this. So let's get ourselves together and meet up August 4th through 9th at the Dreamcatcher in Ocean Park. I can't wait to give you all hugs in person. That is something that I just can't even hardly imagine. We had an in-person event in Old San Juan in January 2020. So it was 3 years ago. It was right before the pandemic. And it was so lovely to see people in person. And the best part was actually for us to see you all, but for you all to be together with each other was great. To have you all in the room together, sharing and making connections. It was really, really wonderful. So that is what I'm looking forward to. And also spacious time for me. Gina and I have also talked a lot about how in the past, when I've done retreats, I've felt them to be kind of energetically draining. But I think that I've come a long way in my own ability to put up boundaries, manage my energy. And so I'm going into this retreat with the idea of spaciousness. I'm going to get some writing done. I'm going to get some rest done. I'm going to get some reading done. I'm going to enjoy the retreat the same way I think that you all are. So I just can't wait. And I hope that you will join us. Consider it August 4th through 9th. We do need you to enroll by June 3rd. That is our cutoff deadline. And yeah, I just can't wait to see you in San Juan. All right. So big hugs to everyone. And if you can't come to our retreat, find a way to make a retreat happen for yourself this summer. All right. Bye. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time supporting yourself and your writing by listening to this episode. If you like what you heard today, the best way to say thank you is to hop on over to Apple iTunes and write an honest review. The more reviews, the more amazing academic women and non-binary people will find this podcast. So go write one now.